Now I give the floor to Panayote Dimitras. He is the spokesperson for the Greek City Monitor, and he speaks about tolerance of intolerance towards minorities in Greece. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In a state of law, the government is expected to uphold the law it has signed to, including the international law it has signed to, and the decisions taken by the bodies that are described in these international or national institutions. You heard before from my colleague about ECRIS, which is the Council of Europe's expert committee against racism and intolerance. I believe that the last report of Greece, a new one is coming out at the end of the year, which was adopted in 2003, described very well the title, or the concept rather, behind the title of my presentation, how there is intolerance towards minorities that's tolerated. In 2003, this expert body of the Council of Europe recalled that in its previous report, 4 years before that, it had encouraged the Greek authorities, and I'm reading from the report, to ensure that all groups in Greece, Macedonians and Turks included, would exercise the rights to freedom of association and freedom of expression, according to the national legal standards. However, it noted in 2003 that the Greek authorities are more ready to recognize the existence of minority groups in Greece such as Roma or Roma, but other groups encounter difficulties, namely Macedonian and Turks. Even today, that is in 2003, persons wishing to express their Macedonian, Turkish or other identity incur the hostility of the population. They are targets of prejudices and stereotypes and sometimes face discrimination. And then it recalls the judgment of the European Court in the Sideropoulos law of the former Macedonian civilization, 1998, where Greece was condemned for not having registered that association, and deplores the fact that 5 years after that ruling, now it's 10 years after that, this association has still not been registered, despite repeated applications of its members. ECRI also notes, that was 2003, that similar cases are currently before the Greek courts concerning registration of associations which try to include the objective Turkish. The new report will say that in 2007, 2008, the European Court of Human Rights issued 3 judgments against Greece for not recognizing, not registering, or dissolving Turkish associations. ECRI continues encouraging Greece to recognize the freedom of association and expression of members of the Macedonian and Turkish communities, and calling for the dialogue that occurred before. 6 months later, the United Nations took over. They reviewed Greece's implementation of the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. They came up with recommendations as a council of every state. Concerning to our topic, the UN Committee is concerned that there is only one officially recognized minority in Greece, whereas there are other ethnic groups that seek that status. And they recommend, or they urge, in fact, the state party, that is Greece, to reconsider its position with regard to the recognition of other ethnic, religious, or linguistic minorities that may exist in its territory, in accordance with the Framework Convention. A year later, another UN body reviewing Greece, which with about 10 years had delayed, sent a report on its implementation of the International Covenant of Political Rights, the other covenant of the UN, the Human Rights Committee, noted with concern the apparent unwillingness of the government to allow private groups or associations to use names that include the appellation Turk or Macedonian, based upon the state's party assertion that there are no ethnic, religious, or linguistic minorities in Greece other than the Muslims to trace. The committee of the UN noted that individuals belonging to such minorities have a right under the Covenant to the enjoyment of their own culture, the profession and practice of their own religion, and the use of their own language in community with other members of the group, that is collectively II. So, the United Nations Committee asked Greece to review its practice in light of the relevant articles. Greece has practically ignored these recommendations, which is not very good for a state that has been a long-standing democracy, unlike its neighbors, which are recent democracies, and weak ones. On the contrary, you heard from my colleague what 2.5 years ago in a meeting in the Council of Europe, the representative of Greece said that the Framework Convention was created to disintegrate the Soviet bloc in Yugoslavia. The Greek Foreign Ministry representative added that it believed that the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe was not the suitable forum, and I'm quoting from the official minutes of that meeting, by the way, for debating the important social concerns of the European nations. And instead, it said that the European Parliament, where we are today, and the Council of the European Union are more appropriate bodies for conducting debates. Well, here we are, but as some of you may know, now the Greek Foreign Ministry has objected to this meeting as well. I have to say that during the same meeting, there was a supporter of Greece's position. In fact, in that meeting, Mr. Chilevis, who will speak after me, was the rapporteur, since he is in charge of the subgroup on minority rights in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. And Mr. Chilevis had noted at his meeting that he's very happy to see that the Turkish delegation and the Greek delegation are in full agreement over the issue of minority rights, meaning no recognition of ethnic minorities and no ratification of the Framework Convention for Protection of Minorities. This year, Greece sent a report to the United Nations to see how they implement CERD, which is the Convention against Elimination of Racial Discrimination. The subject of the minorities repeated the usual position: we have only one, it's a Muslim, and then there was a phrase about the Macedonian minorities. It says, and I'm quoting, "The person using the Slavic or Arab idiom have never considered themselves as having a distinct ethnic or national identity, and reject any attempt by some circles to define them as members of the national, ethnic, or linguistic minority." Well, I have to tell you that part of the Greek legal system will have a National Commission for Human Rights. It's an advisory to the government. The National Commission for Human Rights is a large group. Every political party in the Greek parliament, from the far right to the far left, are represented. 6 NGOs, not ours, so I'm not even talking about our position, are represented. The Bar Association, the universities are represented. The National Commission for Human Rights issued a judgment on the Greek report to the UN, and it said specifically that the quote I just read you should be removed because it's wrong. The Greek Foreign Ministry did not do it. So the broad body representing political parties, university associations, with experts, considered that it's wrong to say that. The Greek Foreign Ministry sent to the UN the document. They also, very importantly, the National Commission for Human Rights recalled 2 months ago what it said 3 years ago, that nowadays the existence of minorities is a matter of fact and not a matter of law, and that in addition to formal recognitions, it is acceptable the so-called subjective approach, which means, among other things, that the determining element for a group to be acknowledged into a minority is the expressed collective will of its members. So this is what the National Commission on Human Rights has said, an expert body.